So how was your spring break?
Good, I guess. I'm busy doing schoolwork, and I'm doing a backward watch from episode 9. I'm on episode 5 right now. So I saw 7 and 6.
Oh, you already watched episode 9.
Yeah, I've seen it twice already in theaters.
Yes, I'm looking forward to buying my physical copy tomorrow. And then I have 2 more to watch. I've been watching all of them, including Solo and Rogue One. But I have to finish Attack of the Clones and
错了，哎，这后边背景可以，
不知道。
I forgot episode 8. Name it episode 8.
Last Jedi.
It's the last Jedi.
哦，做这个，我调回来
Or
做那儿。
trash. That works too.
No. I'm not gonna call it trash.
I've been watching them with my mom, but I skipped some of the anthologies, movies.
You know, I feel like we just take this time and just do all those things that you always wanted to do. You know, it's been good. I'm reading the novel, The Rise of Skywalker, which has been very interesting. It makes me very excited to see the film again. So we went from 10 to 18 in a matter of a minute and a half. So I'm going to give it like 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna get started.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna order my that novel like next month or the month after. Hurry to read it right now.
Yeah, the novels are fun to read. So again, I'll encourage the rest of you all, if you're not on video, go ahead and just click on the video, show your face. I think it's really, really good, particularly in times like this, for us to see people that we haven't had to look at for so long. See new people. That's all I'm gonna say. See some new people. All right, so I'm going to do a share screen, and hope this works. Excellent. So you all were able to take the midterm, and good news is it went pretty well for I think everyone did pretty well. Everyone except me. So I did get several responses from several people letting me know that that there were some errors in the exam. And so what I did is I went back and I corrected the answer and I regraded it. So if you, by happenstance, picked the wrong answer, the answer I had initially selected, and got it correct, you still got to keep the correct answer. If you put the correct answer, but because of my error, you got it incorrect, I regraded it so that you can get the correct answer. There's only one problem that I did want to walk through with you all. I'm assuming you all can see my screen with the yes?
Yes.
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 All right, so this is the average score, 89%. And here's the people that got these right. I'm looking for one specifically, but if you see something that you want me to stop and talk about, I will. Here, this question here, can you guys see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay. This is the one about the college student. I think a lot of people got confused here because the question was asking how much more will he earn if he reinvests the interest every year rather than withdrawing the interest every year. So there was some confusion there, and some people got that question incorrect. Let's see. This is a little tricky, right? Assets, or your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So if you pay off your credit card, your liabilities go down, but you're paying it off with your cash, your asset. So your assets go down. So it has no effect on your balance sheet. This is the one I wanted to get to right here. Figuring out what Maria's current net worth is. And when I was looking at the answers that many of you submitted, I think the error that a lot of you made is that you included her annual salary as an asset. But remember, the salary, this is the income, and the income has to shoot off in one of three directions. It's either going to go to building an asset, it's going to go to creating or paying down a liability, or paying off an expense. So in order for that $42,000 to be considered an asset, that means Maria had no expenses and had no debt that she needed to pay. So the assets are the savings bonds, the money market fund, the checking account balance, the cash, and the value of her car. And her liabilities were the MasterCard balance and the outstanding loan. So more than half of you got that one wrong. So I will see if there's questions. Okay, that's none. All right, I'm just moving down here. This is the other one that I think I had incorrect. And all right. Let's see, there's a chat. Yes. Yes, you can see my mouse, I assume. All right. So any questions about the midterm exam?
I was a little confused. What's the difference between a W-2 and a Form 1040?
So a W-2 is the form that will, the W-2 is the form that your employer will send you so that you can complete your tax form, which is the Form 1040.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was confused on that one.
Yeah, so we need the W-2 to complete our 1040. The 1040 is what gets submitted to the government.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? All right, well, let's talk about my least favorite topic. Debt. Put this slide in here to make sure I was recording this. So I think that was Michelle that was asking. She couldn't see the recording. I think that was because I didn't set it up to record. I thought it was going to automatically record. So I am recording this. All right. So we have a debt problem in the United States. And let me show you what I mean by that. If you go to, oh, and let me also say, after class today, this class will be available because it should be recorded, and I'm going to post the this entire deck on Canvas for you. But I want to show you this. If I can find it. Yeah, I want to share this slide with you. So I say we have a debt problem, right? If we were to go to, oh boy. All right, we'll just do it from here. usdebtclock.org. Can you guys see my screen? Yes?
Yeah.
You said yes, you can see it?
Yeah.
Yes, good. So look at this. This is our national debt right now, which is sitting at, this is a lot of numbers, 23 trillion, 614, nope. I don't even, it's big.
It's
And
growing.
while I'm
Wouldn't
trying
this
to
be
figure out,
quadrillion?
what did you say?
Wouldn't this be quadrillion since it has 12 zeros behind it, so to speak?
You know, in the time it's taken us to figure this out, Daniela, I think our national debt has risen by almost $1 million.
Yeah, I was watching that too. It's kind of scary.
As it just continues to go up. And then some other information about our debt per citizen. You can look at this by going to the usdebtclock.org, and it's just showing how much debt we are just accumulating on a consistent basis. I say this to say, we in the United States, we live off of debt, right? I think that's how things operate. Last night I was watching something on Hulu, and then a commercial came up, and it was like a Ford commercial. And they were saying, we're here for you during this tough time. And so that's why we're going to give you OnStar, free for the next 90 days, if you have an emergency. If you want to buy a new car, if you need to buy a new car, we're going to give you 0% interest for the next 90 days. But basically what they're saying is, even in the midst of this crisis or pandemic, whatever you want to call it, they're still pushing debt on us, right? And if you look, and I haven't studied this $1 trillion plan, but I know that there was discussions about how do we, delay the repayment. I know they talk about mortgages companies saying they're not going to charge us, allowing us to not have to pay for the next 60 or 90 days, but we're still collecting interest. So everyone's acknowledging that we have a significant debt problem. There was a question in the chat room. Why is the number changing every second? Because that's how much, not only when we have debt, we also have to pay interest on that, right? But this is just an indicator of how big of a debt problem we have. Our debt is consistently going up. So when we have debt, right, debt can keep you from being what's called a functional adult, right? So how do we how do we manage this? So number one, so by functional adult, I mean like being able to be an adult, like live on your own, have a family, take care of your kid, normal, you know what I mean? Normal stuff. One, you might struggle to get a mortgage, right? So when you study millionaires, most millionaires have their fortune tied up in their mortgage. Normal millionaires, it's in their mortgage, or not their mortgage, excuse me, their home, and the equity that they've accumulated from their home, followed then by their 401k. So this concept of mortgages being the American dream, right? If you are straddled with debt, you're going to struggle to get a mortgage, or if you get a mortgage, you're going to get a higher interest rate. And so which means you're going to pay more in interest. Nina, I see your question. Yes, that was the debt that we owe to other countries, the debt that United States owes to other countries.
Oh, wow.
Debt can keep you from getting a car. We'll talk a little bit, probably today, probably on Wednesday, we'll talk more detail about car loans and give you some statistics around car loans. But it can keep you from getting a car if you have too much debt and no one wants to loan you money and you don't have the cash to purchase a vehicle. It can prevent you from renting. When you're looking to rent to someone, you're looking at their credit score. You're looking at, and their credit score is a function of the debt that you have outstanding. Cell phone contracts. No phone. Oh my gosh. It can stop you from getting a phone because they're also running your credit. And you might have trouble getting a job. Okay, so a lot of these are tied back to your credit score, and we're going to have a conversation on Wednesday on credit scores and what all that means. But the amount of debt that you have is a function, I should say your credit score is a function of how much debt that you have, right? So if you cannot get your debt under control, all these different adverse things can happen. So there's two types of debt, installment debt and revolving debt. So let's see if someone can explain what an installment debt is.
Well, is it like installments? Like you pay like a certain amount every month, like the minimum. Like let's say,
That's a part of it.
let's
Or
say
like-
like $200 bill, you pay like $40 required every month, and then that's like the minimum payment.
Sort of, yes. Someone else is going to say something?
Or if you go to buy something and it'll say, I'm trying to think of an example.
Furniture.
On TV, you'll see in, 3 or 4 installments, you could have this. So broken up payments, but it's not something that is going to be revolving, like something that's happening, like your PG&E or something like that.
Sort of, yes. I heard someone else chiming in. Y'all want me to say it?
Wouldn't revolving be a credit card?
Yes. So, okay, let's cheat. Let's say what revolving is, and then we'll talk about what installment is. So revolving, your credit card, I don't have my wallet with me. Your credit card is, I use my credit card, I put $100 down, right? And then I pay that $100 off. And then the next month I put $100 down, and then I pay that $100 off, right? So it's a revolving credit. It's a line of credit, which means, Eric, we're going to give you, say, $1,000 to spend, and as long as you're paying it off, you can keep spending $1,000 a month. That's a revolving line of credit. You take out the debt, you pay it off, and then you can use the debt, use that debt instrument again. The installment debt is the debt that's not revolving, right? So we'll take Nina's example of a furniture store. You go in and you say, I'd like to take out a loan to, or I'd like to buy this sofa and it's going to cost $2,000. And they go, okay, we're going to give you a $2,000 loan. And then you're going to pay that $2,000 loan off, right? But as you're paying off that $2,000 loan, you can't pay off $1,500 and go, "Ooh, now I want to buy a dining room set with the other $500." You understand that? That's an installment, what an installment loan is.
So then a car loan, right? A car loan would be installment debt?
Yes. A
Okay.
car loan is an installment loan. A mortgage is an installment loan. Your student loans is an installment loan. It's something that's not revolving. You can't pay it off and then go back and continue to access it. See some head nodding. See some writing. Okay, I see. Writing. So 4 different types of common debt that we're going to talk about today: mortgage, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards. Let's take a poll. You guys see? Can you see the poll?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
There's 4 questions in there. All right, we've got 60% of you voting. Waiting on the other 9. Nicholas, I see your question in the chat room. A lot of people have that question about journals. I'm not sure how we're going to turn them in. I do encourage you to continue writing in your journal. I think if nothing else, it's therapeutic for you, and I think we're all in need of some therapy. So I encourage you to keep writing in your journal, and I will I'll have a decision pretty soon. I'll also welcome some ideas, not right now, but I'll welcome some ideas on the most effective way to grade you all on that. All right, and while I was doing all that talking, one other person.
Yeah, I tried to go down. For me, it was just not going down for my computer. For me, I have a credit card debt. I don't have any other debt.
Yeah, if you're not seeing the poll, but you wish you can vote, thank you, Saud. You can just type in the group chat what your response would be. The question is, do you have mortgage debt? Yes or no? Do you have an auto loan debt? Yes or no? Do you have student loan debt? Yes or no? Do you have credit card debt? Yes or no? Let's look at the results. So most of us on this line do not have mortgage debt, which makes sense. What I do find surprising, most of you do not have auto loan debt. That one does not make sense to me. Most of you do not have student loan debt. That one also is kind of what I would expect. And when it comes to credit card debt, most of you are saying, or actually, it's almost split, right? 10 of you are saying you do have credit card debt. 11 of you are saying you do not. So the 10 of you that are saying, yes, you have credit card debt, I want to clarify what credit card debt means. So when I go to the store today, tomorrow, and I go and I swipe my card to buy my Rise of Skywalker Blu-ray DVD, I'm going to put it on my credit card, and I'm going to owe the credit card company $25 or something. That's not debt. It's only going to become debt 30 days from now when I get the bill saying you owe this money, right? And it's not even the bill, it's me saying I'm only going to pay $10 of that $25. Then I have $15 in debt on credit card. So as long as you're in the process of consistently paying off your credit card every month, I don't consider that balance on your credit card to be debt. That's just an expense that you're choosing to put on your credit card versus spend the cash you have now. Glad that helps somebody. All right. Questions or comments on this?
So, Mr. Bell, you could say that when you purchase something on your credit card, you could say that's kind of like unrealized debt.
I don't think there's a such thing called unrealized debt. It's an expense. It's an expense. It's only debt if you owe it and you haven't, it's got to be like outstanding for it to be considered debt, in my opinion. All right. Oh, so let's talk about mortgage debt. So mortgage debt is most likely the most expensive purchase that you're going to make, right? To buy your home. There's a lot of different products out there when people want to buy homes. In other words, when you're buying a home, right, it's normal for us to, as Americans, to take out debt. My cousin is married to a lady from the Ukraine. And I was talking to him about a year ago, and he was telling me, like, in the Ukraine, they don't have mortgage debt. Like, if you can't afford to buy the house or the land or the property, you don't buy the property. And I have to tell you, in my, American way of thinking, that just blew my mind, because I'm like, you mean someone has to have, I don't know what the average home is, but someone has to have $200,000 in cash in order to buy the house, or they can't buy the house? And it was like, yeah. So if you want to buy a house, you just save up money, $200,000 over a 10-year, 15-year period, 20-year period, and then you buy the house, which is not unlike what we're doing now, right? So most mortgages carry a 30-year term, right? So when you're signing up for that mortgage, you're agreeing to pay off the debt in 30 years. They also have, and so these are products, right, that the bank puts out there. They also have 15-year mortgages. They have 10-year mortgages. You can take out a loan with the FHA, that's the Federal Housing Association. These are loans that are going to come at a lower interest rate. So in other words, they're saying you can take out this loan, and the government's going to work with the bank to kind of back the loan. And so you get a lower interest rate from the banks. VA loans, are there veterans in here? Thumbs up if you're a veteran. No veterans. So VA is for veterans. So if you're a veteran, then they also have some special loans, and all these different products just come with different interest rates. There's a conventional loan, which basically means you just go to Bank of America, you go to Wells Fargo, you go to Chase, and you say, I'd like to take out a loan, right, to buy a home. And it's not that easy, guys. There's a whole process behind it. They're going to appraise the house. What's the house worth? They're going to want you to put some money down. Does anybody know? You can type it into the chat room. How much money do you need to put down for a conventional loan? Like say the home is $100,000, This is California. Say the home's $1 million home. That seems like a pretty basic looking home. Yep. It's 20%. 20% is what you have to put down. So if there is a, let's go here for a second. Oh, not go there. Oh, okay, that's not working. Okay, that's not gonna work. It's all good. So if it was $1 million home, how much would you need to put down? How much cash would you have to have ready to purchase that home?
200,000.
$200,000. So if you want to purchase a home in the United States, conventional home loan, you need to put $200,000 down if you want to buy $1 million home. And I think you all realize now in California, $1 million home is not, I mean, that's not unreasonable, right? Particularly in the area that many of you all, well, that we all live in the area that we live in. $1 million home is it's not as fancy as you think. What happens if you put less than 20% down? Are you screwed? You can't do it?
They'll just charge you a higher interest rate.
You have to do what's called PMI. P, private, M, mortgage, I, insurance. Private mortgage insurance. So anytime that you put less than 20% down, then the bank or the lender is going to require you to also get some mortgage insurance that says if you default on this, I've got insurance to cover our loss as a lender. So it's an additional amount of insurance that you have to pay in addition to the principal that you're paying and the interest that you're paying on the loan. I'm going to type that into the chat room. Private mortgage insurance.
It's my understanding that that goes away. Is it when your balance is no longer, when does PMI go away? Can it go away?
So in order for it to go away, my understanding, Michelle, is that you have to refinance. So in other words, you have to go out, get a new loan. And when you have equity in the house, meaning that I'm taking out a $600,000 loan, but my house is worth $1 million. Well, then that's $400,000 that's already embedded in the value of the property that you have.
Gotcha.
They have things that are called interest-only loans. Now, this one is interesting because when you're paying your mortgage, you have to pay for the principal, right? I take out $1 million, or I'm buying $1 million house. I put $200,000 down, so I have $800,000 in a principal balance I have to pay, $800,000 back. Plus, I have to pay interest on that $800,000, right? So when you're making your first payment, right? Hold on, let me go back to here. Oh, that clock's still going. You thought it went down somewhere. It's not going down. All right. How much mortgage payment for $800,000 loan? Okay, so at a 4% interest rate, your monthly payment would be $3,819. 32 cents. Okay. That's a 30-year mortgage. If you did a 15-year mortgage, it would be $5,917.50 a month. Let me click here. So I'm assuming this is showing a 15-year. Oh, so this is using different interest rates. But I want you to see this right here. Okay, so you're paying $4,053 a month, right? For this $800,000 loan, the first month that you pay, $3,000 of that $4,000 is going to pay for interest, the cost of borrowing money. And then $1,000 is going to go towards your principal. Let me say it differently. You owe $800,000. You give the lender $4,000, and then you only owe, and now you owe $799,000. Because they're going to first get the interest payment, and then they're going to apply the rest of that payment to your principal. Okay? And that's going to go, like this is 2020. We have to get all the way to about 2034. About 14 years from now is when your payment of $4,000, more of it's going to go toward principal than it will go toward interest. And then when you make it all the way down to your 30th year, you can see that pretty much everything you're paying is principal and not a lot of interest. I'm showing you this because when we go back to, one of the things was interest only loan. So they do this product where they say, if you have a mortgage, you can pay only the interest for the first 5 years. So in other words, instead of you paying $4,000 the first month that you own the property, you only have to pay $3,000, or around $3,000 for the first 5 years. Get us all the way to 2025. What that, I feel like I should pause. Man, I wish I could see your guys' faces right now to be like, are you getting this? Are you not? You have questions? Why would somebody want to do interest only for 5 years? What's the advantage?
A lower amount every month to pay.
They pay less every month
Yes.
for 5 years? Yeah. Other
That,
thoughts?
and if you're paying off the interest, well, all you have left to do after you're done with the interest is to pay the amount you borrowed.
Yes. Any other thoughts?
This will help. It's still not a good idea, but it will help with your tax return, right? Because you're able to deduct more interest.
Well, you're deducting the same amount of interest. Because all
Are
this,
you? Okay.
instead of paying $4,000, just pay $3,000. So it's giving you the opportunity to basically buy more house than what you can afford. Because if your housing budget was only $3,000, right? Well, then you couldn't get an $800,000 loan. You'd have to get something lower than that, right? But if you go, look, I'm just going to get in this house right now because 5 years from now, my album's going to drop. I'm going to become a YouTube sensation. I'm going to graduate from college. I'm going to meet my rich wife, whatever it is, right? 5 years from now, we can pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, and we'll still have this house, right? So it's getting into that getting into that house at a lower interest rate. But here's the thing, Daniela. In 5 years from now, when your balance becomes 4,000, right? You still have to pay $3,000 in interest. So this just takes this table and pushes it down 5 years, which is a big deal if you don't have an additional $1,000 in income coming in for the next several years. Questions? And then there's home equity loans lines of credit. So this is a revolving type credit. So how this one works is if you have a home, say you bought this home, you bought a home and you paid $600,000 for it. You took out a $500,000 loan on the house 8 years ago. Okay? But now the home is worth $1 million, right? So you have $1 million home and you had a $500,000 loan, right? Let's say now you owe $475,000, right? Because even though you've been paying for 6 years, you haven't really been knocking down the principal. You've just been paying interest even on a conventional loan. And so now you have $1 million home. You owe $475,000. The equity in that home is $525,000. I know there's a lot of numbers. I can't get my whiteboard to work. I'm going to fix that. So on Wednesday, I'll be able to put these numbers down on a whiteboard for you. But let's assume you have $1 million home, you owe $475,000. So that means there's $525,000. What banks will do is they'll say, hey, you've got a house that has a value of $525,000, meaning if you were to sell it, you can sell it for $1 million. You owe $475,000, you'd have $525,000 to work with. So we're willing to give you a $200,000 loan based off of the equity that you have in your home. So in other words, you're just taking the value of that home and you're taking a loan against some of that value. You're letting someone else attach rights to your home for $200,000. Why would somebody want to do that? Because people do it.
If they wanted to do home improvement, maybe, if they wanted to renovate.
To renovate, yep.
And needed needed cash or money to do that.
Yes. Other thoughts?
Could you reinvest it, and could you take out a home equity loan against your house and then use it as a down payment for another house? Could you do that?
You could. Someone else going to say something? So it's a way to access money. The difference is, right, this is where a lot of people take out home equity lines of credit, okay? Because they have $20,000 in credit card debt. And that credit card debt, they're paying 18, 19% interest on that credit card. Okay? That schedule we were just looking at on Google, that was based on like a 3.5%, 4% interest rate. So imagine if that was a 19% interest rate. Okay? So at that significant, at 19%, you can go, wait, if I take out a line of credit, just take $20,000 line of credit, I can use that to pay off all of my credit card debt. And then I only owe one person, one bank, one lender, and they're going to charge me 6%. So you're consolidating your debt and you're saving money on interest. You can use it to finance a new business. Okay, you want to start a new business. There's a franchise fee of $100,000. You can take home equity line out to do that. Buy a car. Take $100,000, purchase a new home, like Michelle said. So there's reasons why you want to do it. Questions? So there's good and bad to debt. I'm not one of the type of people that say debt is all bad, because there's good and bad to it. One of the advantages is purchasing power. The home that we're in right now. Do you like my house? Thank you. Oh, no one likes it. Oh, one person. Thank you.
I like it.
We couldn't have walked into we couldn't have went to the seller and said, hey, here, we want this house, and wrote a check, right? We needed to take a loan in order to purchase the home, right? So it gives us purchasing power. Otherwise, we would have had to go buy like a $100,000 home in Fresno. No disrespect to Fresno. Another advantage is tax breaks. Now, remember, America runs on debt. So they want us to borrow money, and they're incentivizing us to borrow money. They go, for all the interest that you're paying, Michelle alluded to this, all the interest that you're paying on your mortgage, we're going to allow you to take a tax deduction. So pay less in taxes because you decided to borrow money to buy a house. Because I decided to borrow money to buy a house, I get to pay less in taxes than someone who did not borrow money to buy a house. It also increases our borrowing power, right? Because we own a home that has equity in it, and we're paying it on time, other lenders look at us and go, ooh, we want to make money off you as well, right? So they're willing to lend us money to buy a car or to extend credit through a credit card company. So it increases that. There's also cons to it. The biggest is default risk, right? If you don't pay your mortgage, they will come take your home, foreclosure. There are a lot of fees associated with it. So when you're first buying your home, or even if you're refinancing your home, there's a lot of costs. I don't want to call them hidden costs because they are included in the 112-page contract that you have to sign. But there's fees there. And then even though you're allowed tax breaks, there are limitations. So the latest limitation, starting in 2018, is you can only take deductions up to $750,000, up to a home where you borrowed $750,000, which we all know in California, Northern California, the Bay Area, there's a lot of homes are priced higher than $750,000, right? So if you're in this example, you're taking out this $800,000 loan to buy this $1 million house, you're not gonna be able to take advantage of all of the interest that you're paying as a tax deduction. So some pitfalls, things to be aware of. Much respect to the pitfall game right here, to all my people from the 80s. You don't want to take on too much mortgage debt. Okay? So lenders are always looking at your debt to income ratio. How much money do you have coming in? How much do you owe? Okay. And they want to be somewhere between 36 and 42% of your income to your debt, and that includes your mortgage, right? So you don't want to overextend yourself, budgets. You don't want to overextend yourself when you're putting together, when you're applying for a loan, not even applying for a loan, what you're willing to accept. Okay. The rule of thumb is your total housing cost should be about 30% of your monthly income. And oh yeah, it's right here. Okay, so that 30% is your mortgage payment, right? So that one we're looking at was about $4,000. That's just your mortgage payment. Okay? If you have a mortgage, if you have a home, you also have to pay property taxes, which is based on the value of your home. right? So you can add like another $7,000 a year to that, right? So that's about another $600. $4,000 for mortgage and insurance plus $600. That's $4,600. Let's say you live in a community, right, where someone comes and cuts the grass for you and paints the houses, makes sure everything, isn't that nice? That's called homeowners association. So you also have to pay money for that. That could be $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, right? So let's say it's $400. You got $4,000 for your mortgage and for your principal and interest for the loan, plus another $600 for your property tax, plus another $400 for your homeowners association. That's $5,000. And then if you didn't put 20% down, you also have to pay your PMI as well, right? So you want to put all that together, right? So if you're taking out $15,000, or I'm sorry, you're taking out a $5,000, let me step back. You're paying $5,000 in your total housing costs, right? Ideally, you want to have $15,000 a month in income coming in order to be able to afford that. So it all goes back to the budget. Let's take a poll or questions before we take a poll. Let me see if there's questions. How are we looking in the chat? Anybody chatting? Any chatting?
I wanted to I wanted to ask, you said $15,000 in income should be coming into somebody that wants to, what was it that they wanted to afford?
So if we assumed all those numbers, right, and it was $5,000 for
Yes.
Total housing costs, then if that should be 30%, right? I'm kind of back of the napkining this thing, right? So a third of your monthly income should go to housing. That means if it was $5,000 to cover all that for your house, then you need to be making about $15,000 a month.
Okay.
So how's the interest and principal calculated? I use Excel. There's some calculus formula to figure it out. Actually, it's not even that complicated. But when you're putting together that amortization schedule, they're looking at whatever your interest rate is, they're multiplying that by how much money you owe. And then they're first applying that, your first part of your payment has to go to that principal or that interest amount, and then the rest goes to the principal. I always just, there's a, let's see if I can go back to Google. So if you just type in more, really just amortization schedule, amortization calculator, and I mean, pick any one of these. I'd never pick the first one because, I don't know, Google obviously wants you to pick that. They probably paid for that, right? So I figured, no, don't do that. And you can type in whatever loan amount. This could be even for a car, right? $25,000 car, or loan for $25,000 at an 8% interest rate for, oh geez, not 10 years. Let's make it 5 years. Okay. And hit calculate, and it's going to be $506 a month. And then of that monthly amortization, of that $506 a month, this is the amount going to interest. This is the amount going to principal. Okay. So what you're paying at an 8% interest rate, this 166.67 represents 8% of this, of $25,000, the original loan amount, divided by 12. And then this one represents 8% of this amount divided by 12, et cetera, et cetera. Someone asked, what does HELOC stand for? That is the home equity line of credit. HELOC, home equity line of credit. All right. Any other questions? Oh, you're welcome. All right, another poll. You guys ready?
Yes.
2 questions. Okay, and if you can't see the poll, you can type your answer into the chat room. First question, what is the average mortgage debt in the United States? Second question, what is the average mortgage debt in California? So G, not the amount that's paid every month, the amount that's the debt, the amount that they owe. So let's see if you can just in your head extrapolate that 2,000, 3,000. All right, we got 69% of you voting. Give it another 15 seconds. This is like America. You know, everyone has the right to vote, but not everyone votes. Yeah. And I never understand why people don't vote. Okay, yeah. All right, let's see the results. So 65% of you said 202,284, and then 410,748. And according to Experian.com, $200,000 is the average, 202,284 is the average mortgage debt in the United States. And in sunny California, that number is significantly higher. The average mortgage debt is $363,537. Reactions.
Need to get out of California.
Yeah.
Not surprising, but what about like other areas that New York or Hawaii or other places that are, the cost of living is higher as well? California still leads?
I didn't do that analysis, but if we were to go to Experian.com, mortgage, average mortgage. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, it's just up in the,
Did I miss it? I thought it was by state.
yeah.
So California, 363. Hawaii, 344.
I think it said DC. Is it right above it? There's a paragraph right above it. I think it said DC is the highest.
Paragraph right above it.
No, maybe not. I thought I just saw it.
California was, oh, by Metro. Oh my gosh. California was home to the top 8 markets with the highest mortgage debt. See if this is San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara had the highest average mortgage debt at $519,000. Around the top 5 markets with the most mortgage debt was San Francisco, Oakland, Fremont, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, Los Angeles, Santa Cruz, Watsonville, Danville. No, I'm just kidding. It's Danville. Oh, there you go. See, 70,000. You can move to Danville, Illinois. 70,000. Here we go. Oh, here we are. Hey, you guys, we won. Or did we lose? Napa, Stanford. Did I tell you guys used to live in Stanford, Connecticut? Honolulu, Petaluma. That's surprising. There's DC, 26. So top 50 highest. So there you have it. All right. Let's talk a little bit about student loans. 2 different types of student loans. You have federal loans and private loans. So a federal loan would be like the Stafford loan. It's the loan that usually comes with your when you fill out your FAFSA. FAFSA. Have you guys fill out FAFSAs? I'm gonna try to write that in the chat. FAFSA. FAFSA. And I don't know what it stands for. Something about federal, financial, student, assistance, America. I don't know. Okay. But it's the form that they ask students to complete. And again, you think about this, right? You're filling out this form. Even Las Positas, right? They tell you to, when you're applying, complete your FAFSA. Okay? Complete your FAFSA application. This is an application to do 2 things. One, they're going to say, based on your income, we're going to give you some money to go to school. But what they're also going to do, inherent in that, is say, here's some loan options for you. So remember, America's running on this debt, right? And so even to go to school, right, they're having us look at, complete this like inherent loan application. Where's my Google? Where'd you go, Google? So go to Las Positas College .edu, and oh, by the way, oh, you guys know this. Here we go. 6 steps to success. Number 1, apply. Number 2, apply for financial assistance. In other words, complete the FAFSA. So even Las Positas, right? And even though they actually discourage students from applying for loans. I think that's great that Las Positas does that. The financial aid office discourages students. By you completing that application, part of your 6 steps to success, you're going to be tempted. They're going to tell you about all the loans that you can take out. How are we doing with our national debt? Oh, it's still going up. Okay. So some of the advantages to taking out a student loan, it gets you into, you get to go to school, right? And so, and if you go to school, right, and you pick a reasonable major, the idea is that you go to school and it's going to increase your earning potential. Oh, much respect to Cal State Hayward. Cal State Hayward forever. Didn't see that there. The other advantage is you can get a tax break, right? So again, just like with people who, citizens who take out debt to buy a home, the government says we'll give you a tax break for that. You pay less in taxes. Same thing for citizens that borrow money to go to school. We're going to give you a tax break because you borrowed money, right? So just let that sink in, right? That we're being incentivized to borrow money because they're saying you can pay less in taxes. Some of the disadvantages is that obviously that's additional debt that you have to pay. So the income that you have coming in, that diagram I have that says income has to go in one of three places. Well, now you're forcing some of your income to go to pay off your debt, right? That's not going to pay off your expenses, buy a bigger house, nicer car, eat finer food, or build your assets. It has to go towards your debt. The other thing is an uncertain ROI, your return on investment, right? If you're majoring in accounting, you should be pretty good, right? This is going to pay off. But if you're majoring in, I'm not going to say it. Y'all know there's some things you can major in that's not going to really help you increase your earning potential. So some of the pitfalls to be aware of is, again, think about your ROI. There's a great book. Let me reach under my desk and get it. You guys see this? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
This
It's a
is,
little small.
it says, where'd it go?
It's gone now.
I got to put it in front of my face or something. 20 stupid mistakes parents make when applying for college funding. Okay. Written by this man, Dan Everett. Great book. You know what? He gave me permission to give it away. So if you would like a PDF version of it, email me. I'm going to send it to you. It's about how, as parents, we can help our kids get ready for applying to college. And if you have students that are already in college, like I do, not as helpful. But if you have students who are in middle school or their second year in high school, this is a perfect time to read this book. Because that's who he's really kind of driving it toward. And one of the things he talks about is thinking about the major that your kid is applying to, or is going to major in, because that helps to indicate like what your earning potential is going to be. Let's see. Questions? Want this book? Yes, please. Thank you, Nicholas. Free application for federal student aid. Has nothing to do with America. Okay. And it's free application. All right. I feel like we should do one more poll. Student loan debt. This one has, can you guys see it? 4
Yes.
questions. First question is, what's the average student loan debt for consumers in their 20s? Then what's the average student loan debt for consumers in their 30s? What's the average student loan debt for consumers in their 40s? And then and then it says the average student loan debt in total is $35,620. For consumers in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, do you think the average student loan debt is above or below the average? It's a lot of questions, but it's just questions. We'll take one more minute. That's a lot of wording. but I expect you guys to be guessing, not like actually looking it up. Ching, I put in, for everyone actually, I put in the name of the book into, oh, I just sent that to Ching. Let me put that to everyone. The name of the book, I'll put it into the chat room. All right, we got 66% voting with 10 seconds left. No, excuse me, 8 seconds. Sorry, 5 seconds left. 3, no, I'm sorry, 1. That's it. So the assumption as a class, I think hope you all can see this, is that people in their 20s have more debt than people in their 30s by a nose hair. And people in their 40s have more, oh, because you didn't have a choice, have more debt than people in their 20s and 30s. And people in their 40s are above average, whereas people in their 50s and 60s are below average. This is the average student loan debt for people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 90s.
Wow.
Reactions.
I think it's sad that people are in their 20s and that are starting out their careers or their lives with that much debt on their shoulders. And that's not to mention the possibility of car loans or mortgages or anything like that. It's sad. 90s is unbelievable.
Yeah, you think like that they weren't having any debt in people in the 70s, oldest, like in the 70s and 90s.
Yeah, Yang is asking, and so is Ching, why does the loan keep growing up into the age of 50? I don't know. I don't know why the student loan debt continues to grow. I could see in the 30s, but I think a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Do you think it's because they go back and, they get master's degrees or whatever it may be in their job choice? So that's obviously going to keep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when you're going for your master's or your PhD, which is usually in your 30s, 40s, 50s, the cost is higher. And, again, you still have America, right? The United States is encouraging us to take out debt because that's how the United States runs, right? It just runs on debt. So any other questions, comments?
Not a question on student loans, but just a question about the surplus that's supposedly coming out. Just going to add to our national debt?
It will. It's either going to add to the national, well, let me step back. I don't know the answer to that question, Michelle.
Okay.
Because I haven't studied the package. But what I can generally say is, if there's $1 trillion that the government's going to pay, it has to come from somewhere. So
Sure.
either they're going to increase taxes, right? So their income can go up, or they're going to decrease expenses in other places, healthcare, education, defense, or they're going to borrow the money instead of having us pay for it through taxes. They're going to borrow the money from somewhere else. It's just like us in our own household. When our expenses goes up, we decide, I'm buying that new computer, I'm buying that new shirt. Well, the money's got to come from somewhere. So either I'm going to borrow it, I'm going to go out and earn more money, or I'm going to spend less money somewhere else. Even online, it's not an hour and 15 minutes is not enough time. That's how I feel. You guys are like, oh my God, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. All right. So we're going to get back together at 12:30 on Wednesday. We're going to talk about car loans. We're going to talk about credit cards. Bring your questions if you have them. And I thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. It's so good to see so many of your faces. For those of you who didn't show your face, brush your teeth so that you can show your face next time. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Stay safe.
Eric, can I ask a question?
Yes.
With veterans loans, do family members, like if, so my dad was in the military for like 25 years, would I qualify for some sort of veteran sort of loan because of, that?
Nina, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there are certain VA benefits, like veteran benefits, that extend to their children.
Right. Like I know banks and stuff, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I would Google, do I qualify for a VA loan if my dad is a veteran? Google that and look at the three different responses.
And then how is the PMI calculated? If you have to have that,
It's going to be calculated similar to the way they calculate our insurance for your car, right? They're going to look at what's the risk of your ability. What's the risk that they're going to have to cover the loss of your home, your mortgage, because you can't pay.
Right.
And so it's going to be a lot of different factors that go into figuring that out, including so one of the things is how short are you from the 20%? But not only that, but what area are you buying in? If you're buying in Danville, Illinois, how long do people live in Danville, Illinois? What's the average income in Danville, Illinois? What's their economy, right? All those factors are going to come into play.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Right. Of course.
All right, see you Wednesday.
See you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.